Hi, my name is Alessandro Cangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. This time we'll work on a new series and we'll work to have a realistic toy train, tiny toy train doing using the iRay rendering engine. This will be just the part 1 and we'll have to create the entire train, but this time we'll create just the first part and we'll do a little bit of working on the shaders and the lighting setup. So let's start working on this new tutorial. So first thing we have to do is to check the unit setup, and we'll work in centimeters to have the right scale because we are trying to obtain something really little. Then I like to create the basic shape. So you know the object will be really simple, but we'll work more on the lighting to see if everything will be really realistic. Let's start using a simple mesh just to have the basic unit measure. Let's work on a 5 centimeters object, so we have the right scale. Okay, so that's our right scale, and then we can work to zoom there. You see we have just to be sure we have to change there maybe to 8 centimeters, but not on the 8 but on the other scale. So let's use an extended primitives to create the first object. And let's see where we have this object. Let's remove this one and let's zoom everything and zoom this one too. So this is 10 centimeters by 20 centimeters, so we can imagine to have maybe a length of 8 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and the 8 will be something like 5. So now we have the right proportion. We can go maybe to have something more little. Let's say something like that, and we'll have a little bit the object like that, and then we can convert to editable poly, and we can select this one, we can move it, and we start working to have the right shape. So we are working on the first part of the train. Okay, I'd like to have a little bit of scaling over this axis, so maybe something like that. And I think we have to move these vertices more, and maybe we can stay with this one for the moment. Then on this axis we need to create the tire, and we can go for, let's see, maybe the capsule. Yes, this can be a good way. Or maybe we can go for a chamfer cylinder, let's say in this way, and then we'll move it there, and we need to have it out of the tire. So we can do something like that. The radius can be maybe a little bit bigger, and we can go for something like that, but we'll have a little bit more segments there and more segments there, and we go to have it the tire there, and then we need again the cylinder. Okay, and let's move it there. Let's think about where we like to have it. So we can put, for example, the tire there, but we need more segments because we'll go really near with the camera, so it's better to have the camera with a lot of detail on the model. We can align just over the X and the Y axis, and then we can create a copy of the tire as an instance, and this one can be scaled to something like that. Okay, then we can select both, and we can move it, making a clone, but we can move it this 1, 2, and we can make the clone there as an instance. So we have the possibility to select both objects there and create the material there. Let's go to choose iRay as rendering engine. Okay, and we go to select the iRay material, and we can assign, and this will be a metal. Okay, this metal is really simple, so we'll have maybe 0.3 for the glossy and 0.7 for the weight there, and we go to have a darker gray, and we'll have a good reflection, and the IRR will be 8, and for the moment we can stay with this value. Then we can pick maybe this part, and let's say black train wood, and again we can go for an array material, we can assign it, and the color will be black, and let's see if we remove completely the weight there. Let's go for 1 there. Let's remove the reflectivity, back on the base lighting. Let's see, and let's see to change the roughness to have something like that, and maybe we add also a little bit of reflectivity to something like that, and let's go for 1.8 for the moment for the reflection, and the bump will be something similar to wood. And to make it simple, let's see if we can use the basic wood, and we'll have white for this one, black for the other one, and we'll see if this one can work or not. Let's see a more little scaling. Let's see something like that. We'll try to understand if it will work or not. Then let's go there, and let's say that we have red, and we'll try to have plastic there. So red plastic, and the red plastic will be again an iRay material, and we'll have, let's say, 0.2 and 0.8 there, and we'll add the diffuse red, and the glossy will be something similar to the red color, and the brightness will be not so much, so something like that. Let's go for the reflecting clothing, and let's say that we have 0.5 and 1.6 and a little bit of brightness. Okay, then we'll have the time to change the look, but for the moment we can stay with this default, and this shader can be assigned to this part and assign. Perfect. Let's save our project in the right folder. Sorry, there and there, and we'll have a new folder, and it will be 3ds Max rendering teeny train toy. And the scene name will be the same. Okay, so we have a basic piece of our model. Let's continue working on the other stuffs. So then I like to have, we can use something like, let's go for a chamfer box, and the chamfer box will be maybe the base, this proportion. And we have to move it. Let's say that this piece will stay there. We'll have the fillet, and the fillet, you see, it's big enough because we are talking about a toy for a little child, so we have to prevent problem. Then let's see with edges faces, I need more sub-steps there. Okay, let's go for 2 FFD control points, and those points will be scaled over just this axis. Okay, I think we can go for a little bit lower or something like that, and then I like to go for a 3 FFD, and we can select this one, and this one, and I can move it, and you see that I have an arc. Then back to the shape, I need a red wood, so we can copy this one, and I call it red. Sorry. Okay, and the color for the diffuse will be red. For the glossy will be something similar to a red color, and also there we'll have something more similar to a red color. Okay, and we can assign it. So we have this piece there, and later we can fix also the shaders. And now I'd like to add another part, and to add this part I need to shape this area, and we can go for something like that. Okay, and okay, we can stay with those parameters. Then I have to align over the x-axis and just over the x-axis. Then the base will be inside, but we can stay there and later we cut this part or we change the shape, and then it should be less talking about the fillet. It will be less visible, and we're good to have it down there, and we can scale a little bit to be sure that we'll stay inside it. So we have this part of the train too, and then we are sure that we can scale these objects, and to scale it we can use again an FFD or 2-axis, so we are able later to be back on the other and change it if we need. So let's move to have the right shape, let's say something like that. Okay, let's say this one will be, let's say, yellow, so we can copy this one, and then there we say yellow. This one is red and this one is yellow. We can go for something like a yellow color there, a really yellow color there, and something similar, a yellow color on the other side there. So save, remove the edges, and let's remove the map that is visible so we see just the color. Okay, we have a part of the train. We have to put 2 more objects to have the little part of the train too, and later we have to add also the tails to the texture we are using. So we can use again a chamfer, and this time we go for something like that. Okay, let's align over the y-axis, and we can move it, let's say, there. But to be sure, I prefer to have this one maybe with a more little radius, or maybe a little bit bigger. Edit, clone. Then we can pick this one. Let's say we have more segments. Let's go for 80, and we'll have more 80 segments there. And then compound objects, pro boolean, start picking, and we pick this one. Okay, so if we select this one, you see that we have the shape, and we can make this one a little bit little, so you see we have the boolean operation visible there. Then let's create, maybe using a copy of this one, let's put it there as a copy, and this one will be a little bit bigger, and we can make a clone. Then select this one, and let's convert to editable mesh. Then pro boolean, start picking, and select this one. Now you see that we can select this one. It is a little bit less little, the 8 will be higher, let's say something like that, and a little bit less fillet, and then an FFD 2, and we can scale it over the other axis, and you see that we have the first part of our toy train. So it's time to select a plane, then we can put it down, we can align in the center with this one, and for the moment we can scale it, save, and now we have to assign a basic lighting Let's put some lighting, and we'll go for let's say the target light, and let's say that we have a light coming from the side. Let's go in the exposure control, and let's go for an indoor nighttime, or maybe we can go for a daylight. Let's say that we are talking about a sphere, and we'll have the shadows too. And let's say that the power is too much. Let's say maybe 150, and again we can set in the right way, so nighttime 75. Let's go for maybe lumens just to be sure. So let's say that we have something like that, and the scale is maybe this one, and we'll have another lights from the other point of view there, and this one can be with less power, let's say 3, and let's use something more to give a better look to the image. And we need also a backlight, and this one we can use, sorry, let's see the shape. Okay, let's go for a rectangle, and this rectangle will have just the illumination, and will have no shadow maps. We'll have to decide also the power of this light, but we'll have time to do it. So also the lighting must be tweaked, but it is enough to make some testing. Let's choose the resolution 900, 400, and let's lock the image aspect, and let's make a test render. Obviously we have to set a lot of things, because you see the bump is completely wrong. Okay, cancel. First thing will be to have more tuning for the material we are working on actually. So let's start to see the scaling there, and we'll have the first wood, this one. So let's say that the bump is more and the scaling is more little, and I like to see what happens in this area. Or if we have problem with it, we'll go for a wood map. Let's go for a wood map to avoid problem to decide the scaling and all the other issue with the procedural map. So let's go there, and let's choose in the 3ds Max maps. Let's go for a wood, and we don't need nothing special, so we can go for something like maybe this map. We'll convert with a color correction as a black and white map. Then we need for sure more brightness, but I will use also more contrast to have something like that. Let's remove some blurring. Let's go for 0.2 and let's see what happened. We have still some problem there with the bump. And I was not remembering that the actual iRay material has problem with the bump map. So we have to change the shader, and for some shaders where we have the bump, we have to use still the arc and design. So let's save and let's create something similar. So let's copy this one and we'll go there to have an arc and design, and it will be a black material with not so much reflectivity, with some glossiness, and let's say 1.6, and let's see actually what we have. Okay, we have still too much reflection, so let's go for maybe 15 and 0.2 for the glossiness. Then we apply the bump map there. Let's say 0.5, and let's make a test render. It is starting to work. Maybe the bump map is a little bit too much, but I'm not sure because we are talking about really tiny mesh. And I can say that actually we can have a little bit more glossiness, so let's go for 0.1 maybe. Okay, let's check again, and it is better. Okay, close. Then we have to do the same for the others. So we can copy this one, this the red plastic, and there we have the red train. So let's go for a red color, and we'll have a little bit of red over the reflection, yes, and we'll do the same for the yellow, and we'll use a nice yellow color there and a little bit of yellow there. Let's open the viewport there, and we can make a test render. We have to tune the parameters for the bump. So there I think it is working fine. Maybe we have to use a little bit less bump there. So let's say maybe 3, and the same there, 3, and then we have to tune the mapping, and I will say that we'll go for 1, and we'll have maybe something like that there. And for this one we'll have 0.1, maybe we go for 2, and let's try with C1.5. Let's see what happened. You see it is less visible. Okay, I like to try to use this map also as glossiness map, passed as a copy, and let's see what happened. We should have differences over different area, and maybe it will be good to use the same also for the reflection, passed as a copy, and then we have to tune it. We need the let's use the color correction, keep all map, and we'll use the saturation there. Okay, and let's try to have an higher level there, but with more contrast. And let's try to see the result. We should have, you see, some differences over the reflectivity. So let's copy this one and let's put the same in the reflection channel, and let's do the same for this one too. And let's see the result. As you see, we have some differences over the surface, and that's really nice. I think we need a little bit more reflectivity over the black. Nothing so much, maybe just a little bit. So let's go there and let's say that we need more reflectivity, and let's try to have more contrast there. Keep all map. Let's go for a saturation, and let's have more contrast. Let's try to see the result if the black wood will be a little bit better. Okay, so let's go for that meshes there and save. And the meshes can be this one can be black as the other one, and this one can be blue, so we can just pick this one, copy there, and let's call it blue. Let's assign, and we'll have there a really nice blue looking. Okay, let's make again a test render, and it should work fine. Okay, really nice. Perfect. Let's copy there. Let's have an HDR map all over, and we can use the environment, and there we can go for the background switcher, and we'll use a black color, and the reflection will be an HDR map coming from 3ds Max. So HDR, let's go for maybe a room or a desk. Let's say okay, and it will be a spherical one with no blurring, and this one will be used there. So that's our map, and later we'll tune or maybe we can use just the map where we need it. So let's go for a background there, and let's copy this one, and I think it can be useful there. And maybe we can just, this metal is really simple, so we can decide to use there a darker color. We'll have an high reflectivity with a little bit of glossiness, let's say maybe 3, and we have 8, and the environment we have to say by iRay, and environment map is this one. Let's check the other there, iRay. Freshness curve is set to the right position, iRay to this one. The same there, and the blue needs the same treatment. Okay, so you see the metal is a little bit better, and we need really a just simple metal. Maybe it will be interesting to have a better reflectivity over the black stuffs, and to do something like that we need for sure more reflectivity there. And let's go in the glossy map. And let's try with something like that. So the black is a little bit more reflective. Cancel. Okay, so we have the basic setup, and we need maybe more reflection also there. So general maps, and let's go to have more reflectivity with less glossiness, and the same there. Let's try with 0.3 and the map there. Sorry. And check. Okay, I like how it is reflecting now. Perfect. So let's stop and let's start scaling this one. Let's say that this one is really big actually, and if we go to render this area, I like to see where is the lighting. So let's isolate this one, but before let's create a camera from this point of view, and let's isolate. Okay, you see that we have different lighting all over, and we can let's go there and let's see how the light is acting. So let's go there and let's use a fire attenuation, so we'll have lighting until there and no more lighting there. Then talking about the slide, we'll use also there the same way, and we'll have lighting just there, and the same with the last light. So we'll have lighting until there. Obviously later when we have more models, we'll have to tune the map to be sure that it is working. Cancel. And let's pick this one, and I like to have it for the entire mesh is there. Let's see again. You see it is falling in the dark. We have to tune there the lighting. So this one must be changed and tweak it. And for the power ments, we have a little bit of problem with the bump on the iRay material, so let's go for an arc and design, and this will be the ground. Okay, and we need a map. Let's go for a bitmap, and we'll choose the bitmap from the map we have there. Let's see if we have in the arc material something that can be good enough. We can use maybe this map, the finished flooring. Okay, the scaling is really bad. Let's go for 0.1, and let's say the tiling maybe 20 and 20. Now we have to, for sure, to scale it more on this axis. Let's say 80. Okay, so 50, and there maybe 10, and we can go less, maybe 8, because you know the map will have not so good quality, so we have to pay attention to how it is working. Let's use a color corrector to change the color, and let's use mental ray there in the material editor to be faster. So let's say a little bit less. Let's try with something like that, and let's say that will work in isolation. Okay, I don't like so much this map, so maybe we have to find something else, because this one is really bad, because the resolution is not so good. So maybe we have to move to use something typical. I don't like this way, but I think we have to move for something like a wood for the ground. Maybe something like that. Okay, let's try more. 80 and 20. Okay, and let's try to select the camera, and we'll have the depth of field as mental ray, and we'll tune the target distance. But before, to be really fast, we can have this one set to there, so 40 centimeters. Let's set there 40. Okay, and let's try to make a test. Okay, that's the result. Let's go in the material editor, and you know we have the color changing there, so we'll have to change it, and we can exit from the isolation. We have the reflection. Let's go by the iRay. Let's say 1.6, and we'll have some glossiness, and we'll use this map to control the glossiness, paste as a copy. But we'll go there, and we'll use a color corrector, the same color corrector, to set it in this way. then back there. Let's see the final result, and we'll have a more clear color. Let's copy this one and we'll move it there, and the reflection will be obviously more clear. Let's see what happens if we render it. We see a reflection there. Okay, we need to work more on this one, and we have also to find a better let's move to camera. We can have this 1 to 22, and maybe we can have 1.5, or maybe we can have more lighting. And let's go for 24 and render. So you see we have the depth of field all around there. Okay, let's stop there and let's select this one. I like first of all to change the position to something like that, and this light can be moved and change it. So let's say that this one stays there, and that it is shorter. Let's see if it is working better. Okay. Let's try to change the camera, select camera, and let's try to have a little bit more f-stop. Okay, it is not bad. It's just all obviously the beginning for our project. We have to tune the shaders, we have to continue adding more models there, so we need timing to do other stuffs I like to add to this project. But the result is coming well. Okay, so I think we can continue this project on the next time, and we'll try to finalize the models I like to add there, and to finalize the shaders and the lighting. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.